It is content. It is Saturday night. It's me, Crenshaw, and it's Frederic Guimont here
Hey,
joining us on content.
how you doing,
We're
Crenshaw?
going to be talking a little, doing well. We're going to be talking a little comic book high five tonight, which means I get to play I get to use my little animation thing I made for it. I'm always excited when I get to use one of my really bad, poorly done drawings or intros. So we get to do that tonight,
Nice.
but then we will also, I might get interrupted at any point by a 13-year-old boy with Down syndrome because he's supposed to be going to bed. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I
But
will be muting in and out, trying to cancel the noise of the highway next door, and but unmuting when it's time.
And when we get to the comic book high five section itself, I will be trying to figure out how to get a full screen slideshow because I'm doing new things. So yeah, enjoy the ride and the mess that this might be. But let's jump real quick. I actually we got your website pinned in the chat.
That's right.
So if you are unfamiliar with Frederick's work, how about you just go ahead and give us a real quick rundown before we dive?
Right. So basically, it's superhero style comic book artwork set in a little bit of a sci-fi mindset, but it's set in present day. So it's kind of like a hacker story set in the present world, but it's this young creator who's also kind of brave and decides to start crime fighting, kind of like an independent Batman, you could say.
Nice. And I know that there's some uh, ties to Bitcoin somewhere, but we'll touch on that later. And I also have a slightly Bitcoin related question to ask you later on too.
All right. Sounds
So
good.
it might only be mildly related, and you might not even understand what I'm talking about. But we'll get to that later. But we also got Ratel, friend of the show and all around good guy, Cole, dropping by to
What up,
say he
Cold
managed to
King?
and it's content. That's right.
It's a
So
well-named show, I find. That's a good title. I was like,
I figured
content like it. Of course.
it was an interesting thing to see all these people, content creators and people creating content, and I started looking around like nobody has chosen that for a name. That's crazy. So yeah, I
Yeah,
jumped on. Um, I can say like out of all the people, I'm the only one that's actually making content.
making content every day.
So you are up in Canada, correct?
That's right. The French part of Canada, known as Quebec, it's
So
both a province and a city. So, kind of like New York State and New York City. You got Quebec, the province, and then Quebec, the city.
yeah.
I'm in both.
What are you time wise to? So for me, it's 8:30. What are you?
Here it's 10:30. So we've got
Okay,
two
so
hours difference. It's
yeah,
not too bad.
not
Not
too
too
bad.
shabby.
It depends on. I got people who are, you know, oh, that's 10:30 my time. Can we move it up? And others that are like, yeah, that's early for me.
Yeah, I generally get to sleep pretty late. Like I find the evening is a good time to work and draw. So
Yeah,
I'm usually up at that time.
I'm a
Works out
very
pretty well.
early to bed kind of guy. My
Well,
like
yeah,
nine.
you're a father and you got a family to raise and stuff.
Yeah.
It's different.
I mean, and I'm up at man 5 o'clock is the alarm. If
Oh,
but typically I'm up before then. So yeah,
okay. But you're at 8 your time, so you're good. Like you're not.
yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
But let's get into this week's. Have you? How are you doing with comics? Have you gotten anything? Anything? What's going on with that stuff?
So that's actually pretty freaking exciting because I've got a comic at the distributors right now.
All
So
right.
my Ratel comic that's linked at the link provided. The number one issue is been printed. It was sent to the distributors, and they've got the list, and they're just about to send out the book. So it's on the verge of getting out to the backers, which is pretty freaking exciting. Like I'm kind of
Yeah.
been a ball of anxiety these past weeks, just waiting to get out the door, get sent, and be kind of complete in the sense of check the box off and get people's feedback too. Like, hear
Yeah.
how do people interpret the story, the book, what are their thoughts, and all the good stuff.
Was this the third issue or
No, first one. This is the
first?
first.
Oh, first.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
had penciled some stuff in the past, but this is my first kind of book where I did everything A to Z
Yeah, yeah.
and kind of crowdfunded as well, which is
Nice.
nice.
Nice. We also got Frank Osgood saying hello all the way from Japan.
Oh, hello there.
Yeah, he was a guest on the show. So it's what time is it there, Frank? Like
Wow.
it's got to be early or
Are they like on the same time zone as Australia, Sydney? Is that
yeah, I don't know. I don't know
close?
where there. But yeah, he made he's him and he Dave Brink, both of them
Yeah,
completely different time zones, but both
dude.
were able to
Yeah,
do this show. So
I've had Dave on my show at 8:30, and it's I think a couple of hours earlier too. And yeah, it was 2 o'clock in the morning for him, but he was like, "Oh, I'll do it, and let's do it.
yeah,
It's great to
yeah,
be on people's show." And we had a blast as always because he's just a fun guy and he knows a lot about the European market as well too. I'm
mhm,
kind of like grew up in a hybrid. I was in French English kind of
yeah,
comic book scene here because we get both the American comics, some of them translated to French, and then we get the whole European culture of comic books that
yeah,
gets
yeah,
sent kind of here to Quebec, right, to this province almost in an isolated fashion here in America.
yeah. We'll touch on some of that even when we look through your comic book high five, which um, I am going to go ahead and let's go ahead and jump right into that. Actually, if I can
Let's
get the correct view, you would think full screen would do it, but slideshow. Oh, there it goes. Okay, perfect. Perfect. I got it. Okay, I'm going to share a screen now. Wait, no, I'm not going to share the screen yet because I first have to do my little thing. Here goes. If you can do the sound of a high five, um, go ahead and do it now. It's time for comic book high five.
oh
I don't have any.
slap.
I don't. Yeah, I don't have any sound effects for that. So.
It's
It
an
is
easy
time for
one.
comic book high five. It's one of those things where if I ever do get a female guest on, I won't make her do the because girls can't do sound effects.
Really, is
Have you
that a
ever asked a
thing?
girl? Yeah, have you ever
I've
asked a
never.
girl to do like a gunshot sound or a machine gun?
Right,
They
I could see
don't.
that being a problem. Yeah,
Yeah, they
I
don't get it
never
right. So,
tried that, but I can envision it being an issue.
all right. So, comic book high five. We I asked guests to provide um one of three things. Um movie suggestions, um because I have not seen a lot of movies. And
Yeah,
so um a lot of times they'll
movies,
suggest
music,
yeah,
comics. Yeah,
and
and I did all
Frederick
three. Like I was like, I hadn't read that you said just one. I was like, oh,
oh,
okay.
okay. Well, how about this? Before we jump into the comics, what were your five movies?
Um, I think Akira's one. Matrix was one. There's one called The Girl on the Bridge, which is actually a French movie with Johnny Depp's wife at the
Hmm.
time, and a couple of Polanski films. I think Ninth Gate is one I've been watching a lot. Strangely, don't know why.
I watched that yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. That one
Yeah,
keeps. I keep going back to it for some reason. I find it kind of. It's a book detective wrapped in a kind of devil story, kind
yeah.
of an evil.
I remember watching it way back when it first came out, um, and I was like, I didn't remember anything about it really, so I was like, I'm gonna watch this one again. And I really liked the noir aspect. The music was all very um, classic,
Yeah.
almost Orson Welles. uh, uh, the, was it what's the famous Orson, the third man?
Uh,
I believe that's what it's called, but it has that feel to it. A lot of great camera angles and stuff. But I'll be honest, I it fell apart for me right at the end. I don't know what the ending's about.
no, no, it's kind of like a big mystery. You kind of have to fill in the blank of what you think happens.
Mhm.
And it's based off of a book as well. I've never read the book,
Oh,
but
really? Huh.
I don't know. Sometimes movies that don't tell you what to think are interesting because
Yeah,
you can imagine different endings and choose the one you prefer in a way.
yeah. And then how about the music? What were the songs you had, if you remember?
Um, so some of the songs when I was like growing up, like my mom used to sing the Beethoven's Ninth Ode to Joy.
Hmm.
So that's like one of the, I think the earliest songs I remember. Then there's the Banana Boat song. I don't know if you remember that one, the Deo
Oh yeah.
song. That one's featured in Beetlejuice, and it used to play on my dad's music collection. And that's one of the first songs that I just started singing spontaneously because it's so freaking funny.
Oh, see, I like that you had, that's the mood I'm going for with those questions with the music. Because in the sense of like a lot of times when people ask us about music, you want to bring up the cool song that or
Right.
and I wanted to make sure these aren't those songs.
Got to
These are the
show off
songs
that
that,
these guys that I'm hip
yeah,
and I
yeah.
like good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the stuff that like that, this is the stuff that kind of were soundtrack portions of my life that, I like to think of it as if they were to make a movie of your life, what songs would be in certain scenes.
Right. Right.
But
And then I think I had the Doors as the end. Probably the whole Pink Floyd The Wall album. I listened to that album so many times on repeat. And they had the movie at the time too. I don't know if you recall that animated film of The Wall. Did you ever see that?
mm-mm, no,
No?
I have confession time. I just listened to The Wall 2 weeks ago for the first time.
Wow. Okay. Well, at least we're timed to like everything I'm saying is
Yeah.
relevant to you in the recent the recent days. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I grew up with that album, and they made a whole like film of it, and it's like a musical, right? It's just like a series of videos that are kind of like stuck back to back with a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit of narrative, and a lot of it is drawn. It's animation, and it's beautiful, but it's a little bit dark and depressing, of course, because the wall is the story of the downfall of you know, a rock star or something.
Frank's seen it, and the Albart gave him nightmares as a kid.
Yeah, it'll do that to you. Yeah, for real.
All right, one second. We got to yell for my. All right, we're gonna share this screen and we'll get into the. Come, you ready for bed?
Yeah.
All right, come say hello to everyone. Come over here. Oh, hold on. Let me go back to here. Are you there? Come over here, closer, 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 closer. There you are.
Oh, hi.
Say hi and say good night, everybody.
I'm not very.
Good night.
All right, there we go. And let me share this screen. Close the door, please.
Okay.
Comic book high five. If anyone's wondering, I got my son for the week from his mom's house, so I gotta figure out how to do life with him again. And let's get into comic book high five. Your first
Oh
um,
yeah,
comic that you mentioned.
yeah. That one
um,
blew my mind when I bought it because I was buying these when they were coming out. That if you got that one's actually worth a pretty penny now. That's
Oh yeah.
if you look at the evaluation of GI Joe books, that one's like spikes at one of the highest. Uh, it's known as the silent issue because
Hmm.
there's no uh, there's no dialogue balloons, right? There's no narrative. Every panel is blank and it's silent, and everything is told masterfully through the action. And it goes to show you that writing is more than just narrating and the dialogue,
Yeah.
and it can actually go without it if it's done masterfully. And I think the Larry Hama, the writer here, wanted to try. Well, I heard his tale. I don't know if it's true, but that he was late on a deadline, but also wanted to try something fancy and different from his usual writing style, and decided to
Hmm.
deliver this to the writer. And it's really cool. It's just like two ninjas fighting as well. So the fact that they're two silent warriors is really on theme. Like it's not just like an act of laziness on the part of the writer. There's actually like a theme behind it, and it resonates really well. And it's very cinematic. Like if you look at the page on the right, it's actually the dimensions of a silver screen, like a white screen
Oh yeah.
uh, at the cinema.
Yeah. Did you? Let's quick say hi to Tank.
What up,
That,
Tank? How you
and he
doing,
also
man?
he's requesting that you smash the like button, and this is also a request I make. Um, did you? Did you read this like off the shelf, or
I
what's your
picked it
history
up.
with
Yeah, I
the
was
book
buying
itself?
these. I was a big fan of GI Joe. I was an army brat, so I was actually living on a military base in Petawawa at the time these were coming out, and I was buying them off of the military kind of like general store. And it blew my mind that you could like make a comic without words. I was like, "What? This is like
Yeah.
it's like stretching your conception of the medium because it's not you're not forced to have dialogue. And there's some writers that have some sections of their stories that are more silent than others. And
Hmm.
you could put too much text, you could put too little text. Sometimes you don't need any text when it's done right.
When I was looking for some of these images, it looked as though this might have started kind of a trend in the GI Joe comics because there were at least three other ones that I saw that were silent, called the silent books or
Yeah,
something to that
yeah, they
effect.
came out I think last
Uh,
year. I, yeah, they're basically going off the same concept but doing it for different characters and kind of
mhm.
honoring the idea of it, and which is a nice thing to do. It's a
Yeah, I also did not know Larry Hama. I knew he was the writer, for GI Joe, and still is for. He's been for years, but he was the penciler for this book too.
really.
Yeah, let me see if I can go. You can barely see it, but right there, story and drawings. Basically, he had a finisher, an inker. So yeah, he
Oh,
did the.
he probably did the layouts or
So
something and had someone kind of finish
yeah,
it, polish it up. Yeah, Larry Hama, which
but yeah,
is
very
a
very.
great writer. He literally kind of invented gave the soul to the toy brand. Like Hasbro came up with
Mhm.
GI Joe. They had designs that were kind of cool, but no background. And Larry Hama was the one that started writing all their kind of what do you call them, like dossiers at the back of the book, at the back of the
Yeah,
card. Excuse me. And he gave them all a life. Like he gave them, okay, this guy comes from this city. He's got this background. Here's a couple of tidbits of information, and he just gave everything, breathed some life into these characters, and he was a
yeah.
perfect fit for the writer, and brought a lot of like real world kind of experiences, that things that were relevant to soldiers, and
Hmm.
made them kind of palatable at the same time to a general audience. But he like still addressed difficult topics in an
Yeah,
interesting way in a children's book for the most part, which was kind of my really good writing.
yeah. Another thing. So, when I was a little kid, one of my earliest like exposures to comics was GI Joe comics. It was at my barber shop down in Prescott, Arizona, and but I loved the cartoon and I loved the toys. The toys were my whole life when I was a kid. Um, but I never really got into the comics other than kind of glancing through them at the barber shop. So I actually decided to start reading them this year, the whole collected history of them.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it's really I like the first. I'm in the first. I think I'm on like maybe the eighth or ninth issue, and it's the small core group. They haven't branched out. They just introduced Destro
Yeah,
for the first
yeah,
time.
and they did not have everything planned out when they started,
Yeah.
which is interesting to see. Like, because Cobra Commander was a used car salesman in the beginning, which is absolutely hilarious
Yeah.
compared to today because they kind of retconned that with
Mhm.
snake DNA
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff to do with Serpentor. So they kind of rewrote a little bit of that history as they went along because it was kind of silly for a used car salesman to become. But why not? I mean, it
Yeah.
worked for me when I was a kid. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I do like the you know it's like you said, it's for kids. So, it's lighthearted. There are people dying, not like the cartoon. The cartoon, nobody ever died, but I do like what one of my favorite things is the technical aspects that Hama throws in, about the vehicles and the guns. Like
Yes.
he'll explain not just, oh, this is the kind of gun I'm using, but he'll explain like if it's like gas power, whatever. Like, it's like, wow, he's really getting into all this stuff and letting you know, like he knows his stuff.
Yeah, well, he was a vet, right? So
Oh, yeah.
he had done the service and had the experience. So it's easier to write what you know about.
Yeah.
Write about what you
might,
know.
I might have to do a drywall comic because that's about all I got.
Oh yeah, Fred Filemon. So these are like French bande dessinées. I don't know if they. I think they're Spanish or something like originally. It might be like translated into French.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if they're available into English, but these are very surreal, right? These are kind of like dreamlike kind of adventures. And as you can see on the right here, like it was mind blowing to see like a silent comic book. This guy's got people falling off the panels in his pages. Okay.
Mhm.
He's got people in one panel interacting with people in another panel and like stealing things from the bottom row of the panels and taking it and then lose. And so he's playing with the whole medium of comic books and the fact that you have to negotiate space and time on a page to be able to tell your story and all the absurd kind of surreal interactions that can happen with that. So it's very got a dreamlike quality, but it's a masterclass in playing with the medium, right? Here you go,
Yeah.
like one still image of the giant dog, but you can follow the story of the young man here exploring all facets of it.
Mhm. Um, when you were so, is this one of the comics that you ran across when you were a youngster? Like,
Yep, yep. I was reading a lot of French bande dessinées in the school library. They had like large
mm,
collections, and these were among the collections they had.
ah,
He's very revered, like in the European bande dessinée comic scene.
mhm.
He's well regarded as like being someone who really worked the medium and well known for making comics over there.
Yeah, I did. When looking for images and such, I did see that there are some. It didn't look like a lot, but some in English. So if you're out there and you're interested and you all you know is English, do some deep search and you might be able to find these and read them. But
It's
it's
very
good.
dreamlike quality. They're fun. They're lighthearted too.
Mhm. Um, I don't know if this is offensive to anyone who loves, but has a very Where's Waldo e.
Yeah, I was gonna say that with his design, but I think this is years before Where's Waldo too.
So it makes me wonder if the Waldo guy was influenced
Could
by
have
this.
been, yeah, inspired by this. That's a legitimate question. I don't know the answer to that, but I'm pretty sure Fred is older.
Hmm.
Pretty sure.
And then we got I think everyone who loves comics on any level has some connection to Calvin and Hobbes. But
Yeah,
how
that's
about yours? How did yours
that's
come around?
not surprising, right? It's the most obvious answer in the world because it's so true. It's so powerful and it's so to the core of your child's heart too. It's like, 'cause this is what I was reading growing up. Like it went from like the funnies in the newspaper to finding
Mhm.
books that had kind of all these strips in it, and they were all fun and good from the point of view of a kid reading. But Calvin and Hobbes was on another level. It's like,
Yeah,
it was the best of the funnies, but he would take you to another dimension on the way, right? Especially on his
yeah.
Saturday kind of longer strips. He'd bring in, realistic fighter jets in Calvin's fantasies and, fighting dinosaurs and drawn in the most realistic fashion too. And
Mhm.
I was growing up wanting to, do what I was reading, like comic strips like Garfield and Heathcliff and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so seeing these these artists also drawing realistically started my mind started the gears in my brain going. It might be a good thing to learn how to draw realistically, even if you want to draw funny cartoons. You're
Yeah.
gonna want to have the basics and understand kind of the building blocks of making a good strip.
So were you strips first or comics? Like how did because for me like the comic strips were my like Peanuts was
Yeah, yeah.
my thing. Garfield, and that moved into comics later. But how about for you?
I think it was both in parallel, to be honest, because I grew up with a lot of bande dessinées in the house too. I had some French European stuff, but we'd have, like, especially when I moved to the Ontario, you'd have this. What do they call it? Like, it's scholastics where you'd get
Mhm.
like a catalog of books every month, and your parents were encouraged to buy you a couple of books, and that
Yeah,
it would
that's
encourage reading at home outside of the school curriculum, right? And so, like a retard, I would always like pick Heathcliff and Garfield comics, right? I'm like, yes, the less reading I have to do, the better it is. But because I legitimately like reading comics too. And
Mhm.
once in a while, they'd have a book on how to draw, right? Like how to draw cartoon characters, how to draw cars, how to draw airplanes, how to draw this and that. And the how to draw cartoon characters had all the good stuff, right? Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, everything you would imagine wanting to draw, like um, in Funny Cats and things like that. And then they had Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon was the only one that
I
looked
don't know
like
if
a
it.
realistic proportioned person, right? And
Mhm.
that was like, okay, well, this guy, if I want to draw out my GI Joes, I might use this guy as a model, and that's what I started to do. I would just retrace trace, like I would draw the Flash Gordon following the instructions, and just turn them into each individual GI Joe, reusing the formula basically as a first form of practice, and that was my first kind of drawing characters with correct proportions that heroic
Yeah.
Flash Gordon proportions, right?
So when you were a kid and get the newspaper or Sunday paper or even the daily strips, what was the first you went to and what were the ones you skipped?
Uh, all right. I think. because obviously Garfield, I think, was my favorite. I don't know why. It was like is a good one, is a funny one. Uh, what's the one, the Viking, Hagar, the Viking,
Hagar the horrible. Yeah.
Hagar the horrible. He was one of the funniest too. Like I knew he was,
Mhm.
you were in for a good time. The ones that I was not such a fan of, this weird penguin with a strange beak, I wasn't too much of a fan of.
Oh, was that
Dunes,
Doonesbury?
Doonesbury, something like that. Uh,
I think that that was I think if it wasn't Doonesbury, it was maybe the same artist. If anyone in the chat remembers, um, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I might have been
It got
too young for the humor too. Like I
yeah,
don't know.
it got like political and stuff.
Yeah, which went above my head. Like I was just
Yeah.
a kid. So, um, but yeah, I
Um,
was a huge fan of Garfield, and one of the
yeah.
Garfield books had a small kind of excerpt of an interview with Jim Davis, and it had him drawn like as Garfield with his Jim Davis's head at the drawing table, and he would say exactly what I was saying about Calvin and Hobbes, which was even if you want to draw like funny looking cats and dogs and stuff like that, cartoons, get learn to draw realistically, learn the basics, learn the proportions, learn anatomy, everything you need to get draw realistic characters, even if you're going to attempt to do just cartoony ones, because you'll draw the cartoony ones that much better if you got the foundation of knowing
Yeah.
how the human body is built and all that. So, which is very much true,
We
and
got
that's kind of where I
subjugate.
got on that track. Okay, all right, let's not
So I've
just
got
draw cartoons and funny characters. Let's learn how to draw the human figure. Da da
yeah.
da.
We got subjugate saying hail.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Um, so I got a question, Garfield question. I
Oh, okay.
time so anyone brings up Garfield. Have
Oh,
you ever read um the Nine Lives of Garfield book?
the Nine Lives of Garfield. Uh, I don't think so.
Look it up. It is so. Originally, I thought it was different artists, but it's all Jim Davis. Is that right? That's his name. Um,
Yes, yes.
it's all him, but he's doing Garfield in. I think there's like 7 or 8 different styles. So there's a noir Garfield story.
Oh, okay.
There's
Yeah.
um, sci-fi Garfield or whatever. Like he
Yeah.
does 9 different genres of Garfield, and he draws them all completely different.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like a artistic exploration at the same time that you're kind of going through time with reincarnations of Garfield.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's kind
so
of cool.
I'm kind of shocked that like not more people know about it because I don't even remember how I ran across it when I was a kid, but like I loved that book so much.
Yeah, no, I would have picked it up as a kid, but I kind of lost interest in Garfield and cartoony things
Mhm,
and strips when I got into superheroes, right? When I got into
mhm.
the good stuff, the Marvel, DC, action, all that good stuff, all that fun stuff.
But then you had Calvin and Hobbes, which
Yeah.
like do you remember his whole um big hullabaloo with Sunday panels? Like they just wanted the straight 9 panels or whatever, and he's like, no, I'm going to do this sort of thing. I'm going
Oh
to
no, I
just
don't know the whole story behind it. Yeah, I know because he got
yeah
more
he
space in the Sundays, and he was
yeah
so
he
he was
wanted to
fighting with how to use it. Basically, that's interesting.
yeah yeah he wanted to um so like let me show oh I don't know if you can see it back here. That right there is a Tarzan strip from 1939.
Whoa. Okay, that's pretty
Let me
cool. Who was the
let me
artist?
grab it real quick. My dad, like I said, I do dry some demo on a house up in Sun Valley, and this newspaper from '39 fell out of the ceiling. On the front page of the newspaper was Hitler before he was Hitler. He was just like a senator.
Okay, wow.
So, but
Yeah, 39. Yeah, wow.
the homeowners were kind enough to give us a couple pages of, um,
Oh, that's dope. So that's a recovered newspaper.
and then on the back side is some Dick Tracy, if you can
Yeah,
see
Dick
that.
Tracy. I never ran into Dick Tracy much when I was a kid. I
But
think I would have liked it, but like they weren't publishing them where I was reading. So
yeah, but you see the, I mean, they both take up the entire page. And Watterson wanted to bring that back. And so
yeah.
he fought for more space, but he also fought for um, creative license to do what he wanted in his space. They wanted just the, the so there's the one panel intro, the long panel, and then the rest of the comic. And a lot of times they would cut the first joke and even the long panel
Oh, dude.
to fit more stuff. And he's like, you can't do that with mine. And so he started to do this kind of thing where you can't cut any of it.
Oh, he's forcing them to publish the whole thing. Yeah, that's smart.
And newspapers hated him for it. But,
Of course.
more and more people were reading all this stuff and, they couldn't fight it. So,
And he's unique too because he's the opposite of Jim Davis with the commercialization of his brand because Jim embraced like marketing of all kinds, right? Like the making of Garfield, this and everything.
mhm.
And Calvin and Hobbes did quite the opposite. There's no licensed merchandise of Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the Calvin peeing on car stickers, but those are unlicensed. Those are, you know, on the,
Yeah. Those are,
those are on the
um,
down low, as they say.
real quick. We'll say hi to John's Lombok saying hello. So,
How you doing?
all right, let's move on to your next one. So one of the things that I find interesting, however many of these comic book high fives I've done, is um, like you would think Calvin and Hobbes or The Dark Knight, there'd be certain ones that would continually, come up. I've only had Dark Knight once. This is the first time I've had Calvin. It's super interesting to me to see the things that people choose, and that it's not like everyone's not just like, oh, Watchmen,
Well, I
or
think it's
whatever.
the way you phrased your question too, because I would have come up with a lot of like more comic book stuff if the question was different. But you said like stuff that was kind of meaningful to you growing up. So that was kind of different from
Mhm.
the artistically inspirational. I would have had like a whole five
Yeah, yeah,
different pages, but stuff that was kind of meaningful and kind of left a memory. These are more the answers of that.
yeah, yeah. Because yeah, and that's and that's the hope, is that people will. My hope with this stream is that people will go, oh, I connect with those things as well.
Yeah.
So maybe this guy is drawing stuff,
So
writing stuff that will connect with me.
yeah,
You know.
this was the first stuff that I was reading as a kid, like as a child. Like these were, I was crawling on the floor. These were around, right? That and Tintin, but
um,
these were brilliantly written. Like the writer of these was a pure genius, Goscinny, as he was known. He passed away several years ago, but like he had a brand of humor that was unique. So this is kind of a historical humorous piece. So it's set in a certain time period with the Romans were taking over, the area of France, which was known as Gaul, and they are the last resisting village because they have a sort of not a bard, but a uh, what's the? I'm looking for the right word. It's not bard, but he's like basically he's concocting like potions. What's the name of it?
mm,
A druid. So it's
um,
basically this village druid. He's making like these potions, and he's got this secret recipe for this potion that makes them all absolutely invulnerable. So every time they face the Romans, well, they can't lose because they drink their potions and they beat the Romans to a pulp, all because of their secret recipe. So it's a brilliant story, and the humor is always anachronistic. So they'll put modern things like, so you got the Sphinx here, but you got all the salespeople who are selling miniatures of the Sphinx for the tourists, right? It's ridiculous stuff, but it's like all these humorous takes of bringing today's world in much the same way the Flintstones did, right? They just make it
Yeah,
into
yeah,
prehistoric technology, put a bird in the washing machine, and then you're good to go. But they have traffic lights in there as well, and all working on these absurd kind of like anachronistic principles, which makes it all the more hilarious.
yeah. And this went on for years though, like this comic, right?
Yeah, it's still going on. My
Oh, is
mom
it?
bought me one like from 2 years ago.
Huh.
So the obviously the writer passed on. The artist, I think, wrote an issue, and then they got another writer to come in, and the artist eventually kind of retired, and now they've got like other artists imitating the original style.
Hmm.
But the brand continues on, much like the Smurfs. And the Smurfs was kind of weird because they would sign Peyo's name after Peyo had passed away, which is I always thought that was a little bit
Huh.
weird.
Yeah. The Smurfs was um I had an uncle. He's I don't know why he loved the Smurfs, but but he had. Do you remember those little the mini
Of
collection?
course, I had a bunch.
They had the little.
Yeah. They were
Did you? He
huge.
had.
They were like like incredibly popular.
Yeah, he had like a
Yeah.
bookshelf full of them. And we'd go over to the house and they were boring. My mom, let's go visit Aunt Mona and Uncle Harold. And we go there and the most boring house in the world. And the only fun thing to do, and the only thing we could do, there was one Smurf and it was on the trapeze, and you squeeze the little button and it would like flip
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
spin.
Yeah.
And and me and my brother would just like that's what we would do the whole time. Like
Oh my God, this is the activity to do. Yeah. They
yeah.
look so good. I mean, they were like real size as well. Like it's like the Smurfs are
Mhm.
literally this
Yeah,
size
yeah.
in the stories, which is funny.
And then the satanic panic thing with the Smurfs. Do you remember all that?
We weren't affected by that here because we're not in the same touched by the same American culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything being
So,
francophone, some things affect us more than others.
yeah, my oh, if I could remember the name of the book. I grew up in a Christian household that was sometimes it was very lax and other times it was super strict.
Okay.
And and during the super strict times, uh, I remember them talking about the Smurfs and Gargamel,
Yeah.
and Gargamel was really doing satanic
Yeah.
spells.
Yeah. Gargamel was
And
trying to, I mean, Gargamel created the Smurfette. Like he's basically an
mhm,
alchemist and he
yeah,
wants the Smurfs to make a, is it a like a potion of longevity or something?
yeah,
I think it's something like that.
yeah. So there was uh, honestly the Smurfs for me because all I knew was the
Yeah.
cartoon, and the Smurfs for me was just a placeholder until something cool came
Yeah.
on Saturday
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but
No, it was,
all right,
they
let's
were not like
move.
asterisks is way better because with this stuff you had like huge adventures. Like they would take on
Mhm.
the most, and they would make history. Like so, he goes to visit the Sphinx, and he's actually the one that's busting the nose on the Sphinx. Right, a
Yeah,
lot of stuff where you see the characters leaving their mark in history. And
yeah.
there's one specifically called the 12 works of the gods, something like that. I'm translating here, but they have to go around the world completing like all these different tasks to I forget what the and it was these are wild like crazy adventures, so highly recommended if you don't know the asterisks. It's a fun one. Kids love it, and I think they're
Yeah.
translated. I'm pretty sure they're popular enough. These are some of the most well-known stuff in Europe.
And on to the next
Speaking of
of your
well-known
high
stuff,
five.
yeah, this one a friend of mine just
Um,
read it recently as well. This one's translated, I think, into everything. This is one of the most well-known. Two, drawn by Mobius. A lot of people know his name.
Yeah.
He's one of the best comic book artists of all time, just to put it simply. Incredible talent, and he's like responsible for almost like a lot of stuff that eventually became Star Wars. He was doing the visuals for Jodorowsky's Dune, which
Mhm.
basically, so he did the storyboards, which were passed around Hollywood. George Lucas saw them, and he, at the same time that he was being inspired to do Star Wars and stuff. So, a super influential uh, artist. They would work in Metal Hurlant, the French magazine that was known as heavy metal over here. Worked on anime as well. Like a lot of stuff from the Fifth Element was inspired from this book here too.
Yeah. Um, is this another one that um, did you pick this up in school, or was it a later in life? How did you?
I think I picked this up myself for my own collection because these were like the best of the best artists. Like he, especially in Europe, you had him, you had Enki Bilal. There's a few really good, talented, but he, especially in those years, like he's a master that you got to study. In other words, like
Yeah.
so, Incal is kind of like their masterpiece with him and Jodorowsky, who's known for writing like a huge amount of science fiction uh, comics and films. He's also done a lot of like absolutely insane art films that like make no sense to the normies, but like they're these crazy, like, trippy art experiences, kind of a thing. But he's out there, so his when he's drawing these amazing, crazy, fantastical worlds, they're actually very interesting. He's going
Yeah.
into a lot of the things that trigger our amazement in the future and our wonderment of what will come.
I've I've seen a lot of Mobius's work, and it's all beautiful. I really love like the stippling style that he
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
But I've never read any of his books. Your I guess honorable mention, which we'll get into next, is I've seen a lot of this stuff, but I haven't read what's his cowboy uh,
Oh, when he did the Blueberry. So
Blueberry.
he broke in, I think, with Blueberry. It's one of his
Mhm.
first gigs. Um, and he did it under his real name, which is Jean Giraud.
Yeah.
And, but it's absolutely beautiful, right? It's like he was, he was at his, like he started at his prime. It just makes no sense. He's an absolute talent, incredible artist. And I love these. This Arzak makes me laugh so much because it's anti-commercialism or
Mhm.
anti-marketing, maybe I should say, because uh, Arzak is spelled differently each time he does a strip of Arzak. Right. So here it's starting with an H and ends with a C and has a Z, and he'll change it. Like he'll start it with an A and end it with a K, and he'll every time he did a different strip of this, kind of strange character riding on a space dinosaur, but he changed the spelling of the strip each time of the hero, which makes me laugh so much.
Yeah.
It's like he's making the audience work to find him a little bit. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have to find look in two different categories to get all the stories.
Beautiful stuff though. Like his, I mean, just the line work, colors, everything he does is just gorgeous. But like I said, I've never gotten around to reading any of his full books. The storylines and
Well,
stuff.
I
But
recommend the Incal if you want to have
mhm.
something very enjoyable. I had a skeptical friend get into it recently, and he very much enjoyed it too. So, if you like sci-fi in
Nice.
that kind of like trippy world, a little bit like Fifth Element, uh,
Yeah,
I think you're gonna absolutely love that one. I'd recommend that first, unless
and
you're
I
like a
do.
real fan of cowboy stuff and want to go for Blueberry, I need to get my hands on some Blueberry. I didn't read the whole Blueberry stuff. I only got one book here, so that it's a shame. I need to find more. Sometimes you can get them used here.
Yeah, it's the ever-present problem of not enough time. Try-
Yeah, yeah, that's so
um,
true.
I,
I buy more books than I read because let's see, you always fall in love and you say, "Oh, I'm gonna enjoy sitting down and reading this one," and then the time
yeah,
never comes because you're always distracted by something or working on something.
yeah. I just today Infinitel Chronicles.
Yes, Chris Fisk.
Yeah, which I backed and got the first issue whenever he however long ago that was. I literally just read it today because
Oh, nice. Chris is going to be
yeah,
happy to hear that. Yeah,
yeah, I enjoyed it. I got to get the second one. I know these
yeah,
the second one though, he's got like three different versions, like an anime little anime style, and then two versions of the same story. He sent the same
yeah.
script to two different artists.
I know he did that at some point. I don't know which issue that is. You'd have to ask him just because I'm going to fuck it up if I try to. But yes, he did want to explore, and he didn't just do like a couple of trial pages. He had them draw the whole book. So you got an alternate artist for a book, which is interesting.
Yeah. So that was comic book high five. There we go.
Missed the timing on that one. What are you going to do?
Hopefully, people will get a sense of the things that uh, kind of influenced your love of comics, your love of the art form
Yeah,
of sequential storytelling, and maybe they'll go, "Oh, I like that too. I want to read Ratel now. I want to see if
that would be
how
awesome.
so how much with those books and comics. How much of that has bled into your work? How much are you using that to kind of inform your work on Ratel?
Well, I don't know that I'm using it like in a straight up way because those were things that kind of like got me to understand the medium. But it
Mhm.
doesn't mean like I exercise them in the same way. Like Fred is has a cartoony kind of surreal world of where he can go over panels and things like that. And I'm like kind of telling a story set in the world. So I'm not crossing over those boundaries in the same kind of surreal experiment. But this current book I'm doing is more kind of got its roots in the superhero comics I was inspired by, right?
Mhm.
Like Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, um, or Mark Bagley coming in after him. Even Eric Larson has some really vivid, awesome artwork. And so I'm very much inspired by the action hero adventures that Marvel especially had going, like in the early '90s and late '80s in some cases. The stuff from Jim Lee, even Rob Liefeld, everything that was kind of like exploding at the time was all the things that really got me excited about storytelling
Mhm.
with these heroes and making something that's kind of larger than life, right? Kind of making the kind of come out of the woodwork on the page. He's got these anchor panels coming out. Making sure every page, every time you turn the page, there's something kind of grabbing your attention. That was more the focus with this book than all the older things, but everything's kind of built on the foundation of what inspires you and what gets you to where you are today,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mhm. So uh, again, okay, Ratel. I've heard you mention what does it mean?
Yeah, the Ratel is just the French word for honey badger.
Honey badger.
So
That's
honey
right.
badger, which is taken a lot in the hero space, right? Because every animal has kind of been turned into an emblem of a hero, and bringing it back to Bitcoin because the honey badger is the mascot for Bitcoin. Whenever that meme came out, that dude did the
You have
did
to
the
go
voice.
back for a second. Yeah, but you go back just like a few seconds to the beginning of that story because you froze for a minute.
Oh, sorry about that.
No
Yeah.
worries.
So, yeah, honey badger. Why is it so? Ratel? It's the French word because it's set in Montreal. Even though the story's in English, it's kind of in a French setting
Mhm.
for the context. So that felt appropriate. And the honey badger is kind of taken already, like by a lot of other
Yeah,
creators have the badger or the honey badger. They're kind of already out there. So it felt like a unique way to use the same animal in an indirect way. But it's also very special for Bitcoin because I was telling you earlier, kind of like the character gains his wealth from Bitcoin in the
mhm.
story, and the honey badger is the mascot for Bitcoin. So all these things kind of connect and kind of make sense down the line when you think about it. And so it's the mascot for Bitcoin. This is a guy who's kind of been in the technology. He's a young kid growing up, seeing kind of the injustices happening on the government and banking level, and not being able to do anything about it. And then he discovers Bitcoin, which is meant to be like kind of a something to replace the banking system. So
Mhm.
he's excited about being able to work on something tangibly instead of just being black-pilled and not doing anything in the world. Right? It's
Yeah,
we see all these things that are incredibly depressing or meant to kind of make us feel powerless, right?
yeah,
We got nothing we can do faced to like these big world catastrophes or questions or dilemmas. But in his case, he's got this, small thing he can do in a tangible way, and he gets into that. But then he gets caught up, kind of like pirating the website of the banking system, which is not
Mhm.
legal, and gets thrown in jail for about 9 years. And while he's in jail, he's got his Bitcoin passphrase, if you will. It's called a seed phrase, but he's got it memorized in his head, and he's just like a mnemonic key repeating it to himself so he doesn't forget. Because when he comes out, he can go to a computer and access all the wealth that he had, which was worth
Mhm.
almost nothing when he got into jail, but kind of grew into a massive. Like it blew up
Yeah,
financially incredibly. I think everyone's aware of that. And that's kind of the part of the story and how he becomes this kind of like DIY Batman, right? So instead of having a corporation, he has access to a fat stack of Bitcoin, and instead of having a department making his tools, he's kind of ordering the parts and the stuff off the internet, off the dark web, and kind of building it together and doing
yeah,
his own thing and trying to remain anonymous because he doesn't want to go back to jail, right? He's been
yeah.
caught once, and despite trying to do the right thing, right, he's got this kind of Robin Hood mentality of wanting to do good regardless that you're violating the rules of being a
Mhm.
vigilante, and of course, which is a common trope in superhero comics, obviously.
So, are uh, the concept that you just laid out, like this guy, you know, buys some Bitcoin, goes to jail, comes back out, and he's loaded. Like, and but also the dark web, like using these things that the government and the powers that be try to denigrate for Bitcoin's something we want to outlaw because it's only used by drug dealers and whatever, but like using
Well,
those things, are you aware of any other um comic that is out there that kind of touches on those, like,
yeah, there are actually.
are they really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, not in the superhero sense like this. There are other Bitcoiners who are making comics,
Hmm.
and even I'm flubbing on his name, but Ed, he passed away a couple of years ago in the whole dramatic thing. But and I can't remember his name, which is awkward.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's people who have talked about it, talked about the dark web stories like underground comics, and Bitcoin's a part of that because it's part of its history, right? That's
Hmm.
how it started being used as money in the early days. Is for people buying. contraband off the
Yeah.
internet through the Silk Road. And so that's part of it. It's no longer this anymore. The governments used to be against it. Now they want to have a strategic reserve of Bitcoin. And you got
Mhm.
one other country that made it the official money in El Salvador. So views have changed dramatically. Like China uh, doesn't have an opinion on it, then he hates it, then it hates it, then it doesn't have an opinion, then it hates it. It's like, so it's all over the place and it changes from time to time. So that's going to be things that are kind of in the background of the story too.
Yeah.
It's a unique world. It's a kind of, it makes you feel like you're thrown into a sci-fi story. But
Mhm.
these are all things that are actually real in the world. So hopefully we can, lift the veil on this kind of like technological detective
Yeah.
kind of an aspect with a superhero twist, and get people excited about the kind of power struggle that's happening in those areas.
Yeah, it definitely is. I had a so uh, the question I mentioned earlier. I'm going to bring about in a kind of roundabout way, but um, years ago, um, I was in a church men's group, and we had a new guy join. And at first, I didn't like him because he was very um, his I like to try to make people laugh, and I would make jokes, and he would. I guess he had the tism, but he would ask me to explain the jokes
Oh
out
no.
loud during, so I would make a joke and he'd go, "I don't get that. Can you explain it to me?" And it's like, "Oh, no," because then it ruins the whole thing.
Of course.
But I grew to like the guy,
Okay.
and over the years, but he was super into Bitcoin, like early on, like super into
Yeah.
Bitcoin,
Yeah,
and
there were a lot of artists who were there at the beginning because you had to understand some things that is pretty geeky, like how
yeah,
the financial system works, open source code, and like these were people in groups of cryptography, right? They called
mhm,
themselves the cypherpunks, right? Not cyberpunks like fiction that we know, but cypherpunks, which were, there was a mailing list, and that's where Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, first announced the project. It was in that sphere. These were
mhm,
the people, and they had made tons of like digital money in the past. That was happening for the longest time,
yeah,
but they had never done anything that worked without a central computer. Because if,
yeah,
as long as you have a central computer, then what happens with the government or anybody who doesn't like it, you go to that central place, pull the plug, and it's done. And the brilliance with Bitcoin is there's no center. It's like,
yeah.
it's like the internet. You can't shut it off. You got to shut them all off at the same time and never turn one on again. So it doesn't really happen.
And I think that's where his autism kind of kicked in. Was I would ask, I'd ask him like, "What is block? What I mean, what is a Bitcoin?" And he would jump into explaining the blockchain,
Yeah. Yeah.
and which is a big part of it. But like at the time, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. But anyways, so all that to say,
I can appreciate that. I've had hundreds of discussions on the topic.
yeah,
I
all that to
appreciate that.
say is, do you know the name Jonathan and Jolene Harms?
Harms?
Harms.
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, so apparently, so Jonathan and Jolene Harms were on some level fairly big in the Bitcoin world.
Really?
They did really well. The last time I saw him, he had me do some patchwork in his house. He's got this just beautiful, massive house, and he starts talking to me about how's life going, and I tell him how things going in my life, and then he starts telling me about his life and how the IRS is after him for various things, and he had IRS agents. This is the story telling me. Tax reasons they bought a house and full machine guns and everything, and
Wow.
he owed the government 6 million in taxes or something like that. Turns out um that's not the whole story. The whole story is that him and his wife began to think that they were the two prophets of the book of Revelation, and started to they this made like national news. They started
I kind
a
of want to be a fly on the wall with that conversation. Hey, honey, what is it, dear? You know what? I think we just might be true prophets of the
yeah.
revelation when you think
I
about it.
I think
Really,
I'm
take a
one.
look at it. Let's go down the list.
If I'm the first one, you got to be the second one, sweetheart.
Right. It's very convenient.
But they
Oh
wrote a
dear.
they wrote a was it something like a 200-page manifesto, and they uploaded it onto the blockchain. So it's always like that was the one of the first
Of
things it
Bitcoin, yeah.
and that
Because
was one
there's
of
many blockchains, but yeah, you can do that.
yeah,
For sure. That's a whole contention too, because there's a whole battle happening on Bitcoin between people who don't want spam on the chain versus people who want to be able to put everything like
yeah,
Pokemon cards, NFTs, if manifestos, you name it. But yeah, so basically, when you're because you got to think like the blocks are basically pages of in a ledger, right? They're list of transactions. That's
mhm,
what is tied together. And when you do a transaction, you can have a bunch of addresses, but you can decide instead of addresses, let me just put this ugly photo, ugly JPEG in here and pay for it because you got to pay for the space you take up. But it happened. It happens. It's
pro
still going
scanner.
on. It's a big
Yeah.
big
But yeah,
controversy.
yeah, I was just wondering about how far that story had spread. I got
I've never heard the names. No,
yeah,
there's yeah, I've never heard of that. I mean, extreme wealth will, which happens to people who were in Bitcoin early and stayed, it'll amplify every kind of like psychological trait you have.
yeah,
Like it'll just magnify everything. So if
yeah.
you're just a simple guy who's sticks to his things, there's very rich people who just live ordinary lives because they just
Mhm.
something they have on the side. They still going day to day, and there's other people who go crazy, right?
Yeah.
They
These ones
go
kind of
on.
did. They ended up I think I don't know if the trial but they ended up uh going to trial, and they were both facing 100 years each
Wow.
at least in prison for harassment, death threats. They had in their manifesto, they had a kill list of a lot of people who I knew. And so, part of it was like, boy, I'm glad I did some good drywall on there because I didn't want to make the kill list. But on the second hand, it's just like, see, you guys didn't add me to the protection list that you guys had there too, because they had a protection list. I read a few parts of
Oh, you in the protect? You were not in the protection
no.
list,
So I was kind of, it's
but
like, come on.
you were not in the kill list either.
No, no, no. My
That's
ex
even worse. You were
pastor,
not even important to be in either list of
yeah,
the
I know.
manifesto. I feel
But
hurt for you, Crenshaw, man.
yeah, I read a couple pages of the thing,
How
and
far gone were they? Did it make sense, or were they completely kind of in
um
orbit?
well, here's the one page I read was um the kill. So I read the prayer for protection list, and this is like, to our followers, these are the people you don't touch these people. And i
Right.
and i knew those people as well. But then after that was like, and to those who have offended us, the prophets, these two prophets of God. And um the big argument in one of the pages I wrote, the big problem was that they were both in separate jails and couldn't have sex. And that was apparently the biggest thing, is like, they have interrupted our sex, therefore they are damned to hell because they've interrupted our sex.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, dude. But yeah, these guys made it onto my partner who I work with. Uh Again, he lives in our town, but he didn't hear about it until a podcaster he listens to, who's a big Bitcoin. I wouldn't tell you, couldn't tell you the name if you asked me, but until that guy was talking about it, and they made national news. But yeah, it was a crazy story. But
Wow. And they financed all this with Bitcoin. Is that what you're saying?
uh, yeah,
Okay. I know I had never heard their names in the space. They were not. active in the space. They might have owned a lot, but I never saw them on Twitter. I never heard of them at events or anything, or in the Bitcoin culture, really. But
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
interesting.
that's what I just been dying to ask you. Like every time I'm in a on the chat when you're on a stream, I'm like, ah, God, I want to ask him.
No, there's a lot of strange people. There's a lot of interesting folks. There's a lot of artists too, like incredible amount of Bitcoin artists. That's I think surprised me the most too. It's kind of like varied as much as in terms of like modern or classical art. I don't know how to
Mhm.
general art. It's hard to put a label on it, but you have so much. Like you have painters, you have sculptors, you have trading cards specifically around Bitcoin too, which
Mhm.
it's a huge kind of niche.
Yeah, yeah. I know that the I kind of got a glimpse of that when Dogecoin happened, and people started like really
Yeah,
going all out with the this little Shibu Inu or whatever dog
yeah.
pictures on their everything, just their websites, their avatars, and everything. It's like, wow, that didn't go anywhere. I
No,
did.
no, because and it's not supposed to. That's the weirdest thing. Like people don't research anything, so they kind of go with the flow, and that's a stupid way to make financial decisions, if you ask me. But Doge is a copy of Bitcoin, but
Mhm.
that's meant to kind of inundate, like it makes endless quantities. And
Yeah,
so you're
yeah,
never going to gain a significant portion of it because it'll just drown out your value like inflation.
yeah.
It's, but it works with the same code with just different settings. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
yeah, don't put, there's no serious, it's not a serious project.
Yeah,
It's a joke project. It was always a joke project,
yeah.
but
That
it
my
actually works. It still works. Like it still, functions.
my partner is his thing is XRP. That's his like.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
supposed to be the bank thing, which is why are you going with banks again? They're the
mhm.
whole kind of point of why Bitcoin was created is to
Yeah,
get away from the middleman. So
yeah, but Um, so anyways, now that we got all that that question out of the way and my weird uh uh Bitcoin pseudo related story. Hold on, we got bootlegger. Oh, Cole says he's into XRP. And
yeah,
bootleggers joining us. Shit coins or meme coins or a casino.
um, it's probably worse. Probably worse. I mean, casinos you have at least some kind of chance to win. Um, Shit coins and meme coins are they're just meant to rug pull people, right?
Mhm.
So these are owned by somebody. They have a financial interest in creating them, in marketing them, in putting celebrities behind them. It's always got to be something that sells you this meme coin. And then everybody goes crazy, starts buying it, and then all the guy's friends and him they sell to the early people who come in, and then there's nothing left, and it just
Yeah.
crashes, and then it doesn't exist ever again because it's not a real project. It's just a rug pull marketing scheme, and people fall for it.
Yeah.
Don't put your money in that.
Bootlegger says he made a nice bag with Shibu. I'm assuming Shibu Inu.
Yeah, I mean, money changes hands in all sorts of crazy ways with that stuff.
With all that being said, let's get back to Ratel. Like I said, I got the link in the chat. It's also in the description if anyone wants to, and you should head over there and check out the website. I was on there today. It's a good website too. Um, but how what's your future with Ratel and any other stories you're trying to tell after or you get moving on that.
Yeah, I've got an idea of making a mini series with Ratel, so I'm working on issue 2 right now. I've got the idea of making 4 issues total,
Hmm.
and uh, some of the side characters might get an extra thing or two here. I've got some side stories I might want to kind of put together into a side book. So I'm developing the world. It's the real world. It's Montreal, but it's kind of, it feels sci-fi, and I'm injecting a lot of superhero stuff, right? So if you like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking Bitcoin and stuff, but it's not the front facing part of the story.
Yeah.
It's very much a superhero story with super villains and kind of larger than life fantastical battles over the city of Montreal, which sounds fantastic and magical, but is very much real. And yeah, it's kind of this larger than life action scene that feels kind of sci-fi.
Mhm.
You got this guy riding a almost like the Green Goblin's glider, right? It's a quad board, a hoverboard that he's flying across the city, which people have been doing, have been caught on TikTok, uh, actually riding these four helicopter boards. And these are things. These are all things that exist in the world now. They're no longer fantasies, but we're taking them and giving them kind of a larger than life and a superhero feel to it.
Yeah.
So that's what Ratel is all about. It's kind of mixing this sci-fi fight for kind of bringing the power back to the people in a way that they're fighting the system that has kind of been crusty with corruption for too long. And
Yeah. Nice. Bootlegger says he backed. So that's cool. Um,
it's at the distributor right now. They're at Critical Blast in their hands. They're just awaiting some Gemini mailers, and they're going to be out, I think, in the next week or something like that. It's really close. So super
all right.
excited.
Nice. If so, is it in like a storefront? Like, can anyone still get it, or
Not currently. Not currently.
okay?
I've got like I printed double what I sold at the crowdfund.
Mhm.
So I want to have copies for events, like conferences, and I might have some that I sell over an online store. But I
Yeah.
haven't set all that up yet. Or I might just keep them for the second
Yeah. Yeah.
crowdfund,
Okay.
right, and sell the leftover number ones while I sell number two. I haven't
Yeah.
thought. I haven't. Don't have all those answers just yet.
Yeah. Yeah. As this being your first crowdfunder,
Yeah.
are you have, have you do you think you've learned enough to like move into like a second issue a lot more smoothly and like get that done with more ease?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think about that. I thought about that during the making of the first one. I'm like, I won't have to do this again for the second one. A lot of stuff like your branding, right? Your title, your all the character backstory. There's a lot of stuff that when you do the first one, you got to do everything.
Mhm.
And when you're taking on the second one, well, you get to at least build on what's come before, right? You're building a story on a sequence that already laid the foundation. You already have the big ideas of where you're going. So I'm hoping this is going to be smoother and faster and everything easier. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I know that I'm pushing myself creatively to just make sure that each page is better than what was in the first one, right?
Yeah.
City scenes, I want them more detailed. I want more dramatic angle. I kind of want to push it with the second one. It's important to show the progress and all that. But I'm super excited to keep this story going. I got
Yeah.
motorcycles in the background. I don't know if you can hear
No
them.
worries. Cole says you should add them to your next campaign. So, how far along? Do you have written? How far along are you? And then art wise for the next one, how far along have you gotten?
So I have a full script for the second one, and that doesn't mean the script is not going to get edited, which I think it
Mhm.
is. But I have something at least that's laid out and makes sense from start to finish. And I've started penciling three of those. So I've got 3 pages that are penciled in. And the first book is like 24 pages. The second one, I'm aiming for more 32.
Oh,
I'm looking
nice.
at what other people are doing in the crowdfund, and 32 seems to be a good number because, dude, I tried with 24. You want to put action scenes, you want to put character development, you
Mhm.
want to put everything. And I took all my scenes and I had to cut them in half
Yeah.
to the essential to fit them in 24. So I think with the second one, I'm aiming for more for 32. It's going to give me a little bit more loose, a little bit more pages that I can expand on all of
Yeah,
that good stuff to make sure I'm not rushing through anything. It's
yeah.
kind of my
I mean,
attitude with the second one.
I know that, generally speaking, comics are a kind of compressed form of storytelling,
Yeah.
but like I read one today. There was a I'm on TikTok, and every once in a while a new guy will pop up. Some kid, check out myself, and one guy was offering for free his digital copies, and so and the artist is actually I forget his name, but I already was following him on X, and he does pretty solid art. So I was like, okay, cool. I can trust this guy. It's not like AI or some
Yeah, yeah,
goofiness.
you know the artist. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and I read it, and it was super rushed. Like,
Really, yeah.
yeah, and so that was something that was brought to my attention today. Like, yeah, I get it. There's a certain amount of compression you get in a comic, but like
Oh, rushed in
this
the
is,
sense of the stories compressed. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you're throwing it in a lot, and
Yeah.
it's really almost like to the point where it's like one panel is like, hi mom and dad, the very next panel is mom's in the hospital dying. It's like, where did that come from? Like, at least give us a little time to grow, to know that, mom and dad, like, I didn't even know that was your dad for until after that panel. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, taking that time to
And I'm
I,
not a writer with a lot of experience, so I did not have a whole lot of confidence going into this. And so I relied on a lot of beta readers.
mm,
So from the start, with just the script format, I was sending it out to people and like, okay,
yeah,
this is the book I want to write. Like, can you give me some feedback? And some comic book people, some writers who've written just classical books, and some Bitcoiners also was like, hey, I'm writing about this technology. Am I screwing up anything? Like, am I talking about something that does not make sense and things like that? So I had technical readers as well as just storytellers.
mhm.
And so I had a lot of questions come up like, dude, what's your character's name? Like, you don't even name your character in the whole book. Like, oh, yeah, I have to decide on a name. God damn it. I know his superhero name. I'm not like set on that.
Yeah,
And so that just helped me see everything that was in my blind spot as a new writer coming in. Obviously, I was going to make all the beginner's mistakes, and I wanted to have a team of people just to help me catch those and fix those before they gets to print, right? So I actually have something decent that backers are going to be able to enjoy more than once. They're going to
yeah,
be able to reread and get an enjoyment out of it. And one of my beta readers said the book has good pacing, which I think is a good sign that it's something you can read and get good enjoyment from A to Z.
that's good. I think that's one of the things, in the indie scene is, and in kind of the corner that we find ourselves in, it's very helpful. There's a lot of people who are willing to
Yes.
to lend those helping hands. Like, yeah, I'll give a read and let you know what I thought about this, that, and the other. But in a lot of cases, it's just a guy doing some stuff that he wants to do, and um, whether or not anyone else thinks it's good or not, they'll just rush it out and throw it out. And yes, it's
And hey,
I
some people are doing it, man. I know some people that are doing it successfully, but they're going to drop things here and there. But at the same time, you get their, unaltered, raw kind of message. So hopefully it's good.
yeah,
The public determines that. So whatever style suits you, I do not feel confident to just do it blindly and say, hey,
yeah,
this is what
yeah,
I got. I wanted to make sure, hey, spot all the problems in this one. Help me kind of figure this out. And I've been interested in writing my whole life. Like I've written a ton of stuff, but nothing that was ever read or published. I was
mhm,
just doing it for my own stuff on the side. It had never gone to all the way through to the end of the line.
yeah, yeah,
So I wanted to make sure that I felt more confident with the art than with the writing. Let's just say that. And I got criticized with the art too and the lettering, which helps you build better. It's
yeah,
part of the training and it's how you learn in this space too.
with the art, you know, like you said, you from a young age, comic strips and all that moving forward. But is it all self taught, or did you end up going to any sort of schooling for stuff?
Yeah. So in the early days, it was mostly from books, like I was
Mhm.
mentioning. Like you could get these how to draw books early on, like from grade 4 or 5, Scholastics program. When there wasn't a Garfield, you could get how to draw cars and planes, things like that. So I got every book I could get. And instead of doing my school's homework, I did that instead of homework and just like practiced all the drawing exercises all the time to get really good at it. And when my mom saw me put a lot of interest in that, she got me to Saturday get art school or art classes on Saturdays, where we'd do what do you call it, like a drawing that's so mort and all these terms in French, but you're just drawing fruits and wine bottles,
Like
right? Just
still life or whatever.
life, exactly. That's it. And then we got models and things like that. And that, so I did get some formal training down the line, and I took everything I could get. I would even, like, when I was done with every book that I had found, I would just take up the encyclopedia, open up the anatomy dude, and just copy all the muscles, try to figure out, okay, these deltoids, like, where do they start, where do they end, how does his arm twist, how do the muscles look when you fold the arms, the legs. And so I was just naturally curious and completely enamored with the medium, that I was just like, I'd never run out of inspiration to learn
Yeah.
more. And
Nice.
I applied to the Joe Kubert School and was accepted and got a good review. But my parents could not send me to school in the United States as Canadians. It was like another country. You had to pay the school, and you had to pay the lodging and all that.
Yeah.
And so instead, I went to local college, which is free for the most part. You just get a small student loan that doesn't ruin you, but it was kind of a half and half in terms of the quality of the training. Like, I got some life drawing skills, some good color skills, and there was a lot of weird, like, artsy fartsy classes that kind of wasted your time in there too. So you kind of had a little bit of both. Um,
Yeah.
but I
I
was
just
in love
realized
with comics. It's just that's what I was always kind of fascinated with.
I just realized I could be showing the website right now.
You are. I see it.
I I for a long time, what in the world? I was using my iPad to stream, and you can't do any sort of sharing.
Oh,
So I'm still getting used to that, like, screen sharing concept. But
yeah.
real quick, we'll do this. Bootlegger saying it's such a great feeling when someone genuinely enjoys something you've written.
Oh, dude, I'm looking forward to the feedback on the first book. Like, it's driving me kind of nuts right now. It's literally at the distributor, so it's just about to be sent off, and so it's the most kind of nerve wracking time, which is just super exciting because I can't wait for for it'll feel like chapter one is officially done. To me, it's like I need this big
Mhm.
empty check box to be checked off. Like, first one is done. All right, I can get into the process of the second one, which is the beginning is a lot more potential. It's a lot more in your head, and it's fun to going back to that kind of work because
Yeah.
towards the end, you're doing a lot of the logistics and making sure that the printing's right, getting this to that place in time, and dealing with all these things. So it's a lot of, yeah, just managing stuff. And I kind
Yeah.
of, it's cool that we get to control our own stuff and have we can do these things individually. That's kind of
Mhm.
fantastic. But I'm looking forward to getting back into just the pure creative space of just writing and
Yeah.
penciling and
Yeah.
just drawing at the beginning of a new chapter, literally.
Yeah. I I have like ideas and dreams like, oh, this is a great story, I'd love to be. Here's me. When um there are some people who look at a challenge, they'll walk to a foot of a mountain and see a challenge. I walk to the foot of a mountain, I think, oh my god. So anytime I start to think about, oh, I'd love to write this book, like maybe I could do the writing part, but I hear people talk about everything that comes after, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm built for that.
Yeah, you can't.
For all
Yeah,
the
I think
logistics and whatever. So
I started this book knowing it would take me 3 months to do. Right, like, it was like, oh yeah, this is going to be done in 3 months, and I can work on the second one. It took me 2 years, it turns out. So,
yeah.
if I had known, being ignorant is the thing that helped me get through this. I think if I had known it would have taken this long, see, this is the progress on the second book. I've got a completed written script, and I'm into
So
the progress
I
of
like
this thing.
that.
I did
There's
this for the first book
uh,
because people were like, "When is your book coming out?" I have no clue. What's that? I never told people it was going to be 3 months because I was like, I'm probably going to be wrong with this estimate, especially when the date gets. So I always went with, well, go check out my site. I've got like a progress report. This tells you where I'm at, and from where I started, you kind of estimate where I'm going to go. But this is the most honest way I can keep people up to date with
yeah.
when it's going to come out, with where I'm at. Because I could give you a date, but I'm going to miss it. I can just tell you right now, it's not going to happen on that date. It's just something weird about these creative projects. It's just hard to focus on quality at the same time of just. But I don't know. I mean, the pros used to do it, but in the indie space, it's a bit different, man. Because
Yeah.
you got to do everything. You got to take care of any surprise that happens, and so you got to be a little bit more loose with the deadline,
Mhm.
but not with the quality. Though you got to make sure your book is top shape.
Yeah. I like this I talk to who are doing this, updating their websites. How do you feel about your own, like, go back to about your mailing email uh list and stuff, your mailing list. How do you feel those are doing, compared
Uh,
to like
I
X
haven't.
and kind of
No, I've not
using.
really used the email list yet.
Mhm.
I've not promoted it much. It's there, but I haven't really pushed it. It's all been through these videos, like interviews, like ours here today. It's
Yeah, yeah.
like being on people's different channels. I got my own channel. I'm co-host on some other channels, like we had the Comic Skate Commandos tonight, roughly at the same
Mhm.
time. Uh, but that's where the promotion. Well, I gotta say half the promotion because half came from comic book backers on YouTube and Twitter, and the other half came from
Mhm.
Bitcoiners. Remember, I'm telling you, like a lot of this story is set in
Yeah,
this Bitcoin paradigm. Well, the people who happen to be Bitcoiners are interested in the story and they back the book
yeah.
to about 50% of the backers, and they backed in Bitcoin as well. So I had a proof of concept where I got half of the funding in Fund My Comic dollars, American dollars, not Fund My Comic dollars, but you get what I'm saying. And the other
Yeah.
half, I used a service called Geyser, which lets you crowdfund in Bitcoin. And I got the other half
Oh,
from
nice.
Bitcoiners in that very same currency, which was a fantastic kind of proof of concept. And so that's where I got most of my follow, well, all of my following, to be honest.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting because, like, in the comic book world, you get a lot of, um I guess, what's the word, spin-offs of regular character. You get, this is like my version of Batman or whatever,
Of
like
course.
those things,
Yeah.
but there's nothing else really um kind of connected to you. You have something that draws in people from the outside,
Yeah.
um
Sometimes you can,
apart from just, this is just comics,
yeah, yeah.
and
The
I
topic,
wonder if
this,
that's something that,
yeah, it's a little
good.
extra something to get people from outside of the space as well. And if you have that in your story, like if you have a character that has a certain hobby or something that kind of reaches out of just the comic space, it's always good to be able to kind of market to those people, because a lot of people like comics that are not exposed to comics, and they're certainly not
Mm.
on YouTube 24/7 seeing what the latest drama is on every
Yeah.
comic. So they're not going to find out about your book if you don't go to them in conferences or events, or on their own kind of information network.
Yeah. So like with when you started crowdfunding this book, and and you were already in the Bitcoin scene in chat rooms and whatever else there was, but like, did you make it a point to be like, I'm going here to reach out to this group of people, or or was it like an organic thing, like like, were you focused on, I want to bring
A little
these
bit of
people in?
both. Like I had targeted people because you can't go in without a plan. I mean, I guess you can, but I had planned it out. I went to a conference the year before. I met some influencers, so to speak. It's a weird word. It sounds disgusting when you say it, but I met some like people who are known in the space, who've got shows. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they had told me, yeah, contact me and stuff. So some of it didn't, like a lot of the stuff in the Bitcoin space didn't work out interview wise. I got very little follow through with the influencers, so to speak. But in the
Mhm.
comic book space, online, on Twitter, the comic skate sphere, everybody was super supportive and everybody wanted to have me on, talk
Yeah.
about the project. And the space is just like super generous with their time and
Mhm.
giving people a spotlight, like your show does, Crenshaw. It's like it's wonderful to be well received. And so it wasn't well received. Like people were not as willing to talk about it because at the same time, Bitcoiners are kind of like super closed off to being marketed to. So you kind of
Mhm.
have to be in the right place at the right time. But people I met in person were like interested about the project
Yeah.
and backed it in because they had met me in person. They had met me at
Yeah.
different events. I had went down to El Salvador to put a couple of pages of original art on auction, and I talk about that a little bit in the comic. I show a couple of pictures, but yeah, I did everything I could to get the word out there before going to crowdfund, and I made sure to try to get
Yeah.
on, eyes on the project when I launched, so that I had a good enough start that would give it momentum. Because it's not easy. It's not a simple thing. I'm not famous. I don't come with this huge following. I wasn't a professional
Mhm.
in the space. I feel I came close to being, but never pierced through. So I'm here because comics is still in my veins, and I love to do it. And there's nothing
Yeah.
else I want to do. And the crowdfund space and the comic skate space is welcoming enough to give people a shot. And
Yeah.
this, hopefully, this story is going to entertain them and make them forget about their worldly problems for maybe 20 minutes or so.
Well, yeah, the I'm always, my one of my things is, how do I'm always trying to think of, like, how are there ways to get these indie comics and comics in general, because we're a tiny little niche of a tiny niche.
Yes. Yeah.
Comics is a
Yeah.
little, but get more people, more eyes on comics. It's always, everyone's always trying to think of that, within this scene, the sphere. But
Yeah, it's a big issue. I
that
remember I heard Luke Stone talking about it a couple of years ago. Like he had dreams of bringing back the comic book rack, right? In like gas
Mhm.
stations and corner stores and things like that. Like we all grew up loving going to the store with our parents, and our parents would get groceries or whatever, pay for the gas, and the kids would just run for that comic book rack. Like, oh my God,
Mhm.
look, there's a bunch of them. Let me turn the rack. Which are my favorite ones? Can I go through them and skim them? And so we want to bring back that joy, and because we're selling to each other here, and that's wonderful that we've got a
Yeah.
supportive network. But we want to go outside the core. Right now, I think we're kind of just surviving. Like we got to
Yeah.
be thriving. We got to be getting these the roots. Our comics like have got to be rooted in some spaces where new readers can find them.
Yeah. And that's kind of, the it's you with the half of your backers being Bitcoin, and like, are there ways to not to have people like write comics that it's like, oh, I'm gonna write my comic as train collector.
No,
So
and it doesn't work like that
specifically
because
for
you're going to
train.
hate your life
Yeah.
while you're writing about a topic that you hate. It's got to be something that you're naturally passionate about. I happen to be
Yeah, yeah,
like a believer in the space and be like immersed in the culture because it's a niche microculture. It is really a thing. It's like hackers have their niche, Bitcoiners have their niche.
mhm,
It's just a funny place of people who just love the world that they live in and just want to fix a couple of problems that they see and they see a
yeah,
solution that would work and they believe in it really hard. And that's kind of the core of what my hero is. He's like, if everybody knew the solution, we could fix this real fast, but we
yeah,
got to change things one thing at a time.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
see
Change.
the solution, but you can't always reach it.
Yeah, what's the something about changing minds before you can change the world or whatever? But yeah. um, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping up, because we got about an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, it's about the usual. My usual. I try to keep it about an hour. Some of these streams go for
I
three
know, I
hours or
know. You
whatever.
get caught up in like geeks talking about comics, and like it's like wow, the time is just warped.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you know um, wanting getting people to not just to watch the comics but also to watch stream. It's all a big, like, how do we get people to do these things? How do we get them to do these things? So if they look and see it's 3 hours long, they might go, I don't think I have the time for this. But I want to thank you for coming on and
My
sharing
pleasure, man. Thank you for inviting
sharing
me.
your. Let me unshare this real quick so we
I
can
love
go back
talking
to.
about my own stories. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's what I live for. So
everyone does, like. That's that. I mean, otherwise, why even bother trying if you're not excited about them? Can't
you're gonna
expect anyone
spend
else
this
to be.
much time like hunched over a page to draw a whole story. You gotta love it. You gotta love what you're working on.
Yeah, but thanks for sharing your book. Thanks for sharing your comic book high five. And thanks for coming on.
My
And
pleasure, man.
yeah,
Thanks for having me.
and everyone who joined in the stream, the chat, thanks for joining in, watching, and liking, sharing, whatever. And anyone in the future who is bootlegger says he's his own favorite subject. Yeah, aren't we all? Um, and anyone watching in the future, thanks for checking it out. Head to um, Ratel
Yep,
ratelcomic. There you go.
retirecomic.com. I'll take you there. You can see
And
samples and got a bunch of links and find my Twitter, YouTube, and all that good stuff.
yeah, there you go. And yeah, also we'll see you guys probably on Twitter, making silly jokes and
That's right.
causing havoc. Have a good night, everyone, and we will talk to you next week. I don't remember who I'm talking to next week, so yeah, keep I'll
Surprise
keep you
guest
posted.
next week.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later, everyone.